Ladies and gentlemen, before the sun stretches its golden fingers across the sky, before the world places its demands on your shoulders, there is a sacred moment that belongs only to you and God. A moment when your spirit is still, your mind is open, and your heart is willing. This morning, I invite you to step into that moment with intention. Before you step outside today, pray this powerful morning prayer not as a ritual, but as a declaration that you are covered, guided, strengthened, and divinely aligned for everything ahead. Because when you begin your day with God, you don't walk into the world alone, you walk in purpose, in clarity, and in unshakable peace. To start your day rooted in spiritual alignment before you engage with the world is to choose intention over chaos, peace over confusion, and divine grounding over emotional turbulence. Every morning carries within it a quiet invitation, a gentle whisper that asks you to pause before you rush, to breathe before you react, to open your heart before you open the door. When you wake up, you are not just rising from sleep, you are rising into purpose. You are stepping into a new canvas, untouched, unpainted, full of possibility. And the way you begin holds the power to shape everything that follows. So many people start their day by grabbing their phones, scrolling through noise, absorbing energies that do not belong to them, surrendering their peace before they even leave their beds. But you, when you choose alignment with God before stepping into the world, you choose to reclaim your morning, your spirit, your direction, and your identity. There is something sacred about acknowledging that you cannot face the world on your own strength, that your wisdom alone is not enough, that your understanding alone is not sufficient. When you come to God first, you come to the source of clarity, to the wellspring of peace, to the foundation that cannot be shaken by criticism, disappointment, stress, unexpected storms. Morning alignment is not religion, it is direction. It is the quiet agreement between your soul and your Creator that the day will not lead you, you will lead the day. It is accepting that before any human speaks to you, God must speak to you. Before any challenge confronts you, God must cover you. Before any opportunity appears, God must prepare you. When you root yourself spiritually in the morning, you create an inner stillness that becomes your anchor. You begin to move from a place of intention rather than reaction. You understand that everything does not deserve your energy. Everything does not need your response. Every battle is not yours to fight, and every distraction is not worth your peace. Morning alignment teaches you discernment, and discernment saves you from battles that were never meant for your hands. And when you align yourself, your emotions begin to settle. You do not rush into the day carrying yesterday's disappointments or last week's wounds. You surrender them early, giving God permission to heal what you cannot see and strengthen what you do not understand. You begin to walk with a spiritual posture that is unbothered, grounded, and deeply connected. People may wonder why you move with confidence, why you carry peace, why you are not shaken by the noise around you. What they do not know is that your strength is borrowed, your calm is protected, your footsteps are guided. Spiritual alignment makes you understand that you were not created to be tossed around by anxieties or uncertainties. You were created to stand tall because you know who stands with you. And when you wake up and realign yourself every morning, you begin to recognize the difference between your plan and God's plan. You stop forcing doors that were meant to stay closed. You stop stressing over people who were not meant to stay. You stop carrying burdens that were never assigned to your shoulders. Alignment brings revelation. It opens your eyes to what truly matters and gives you the courage to release what does not. It shifts your perspective from why is this happening to me to what is God trying to teach me. It allows you to move away from fear and step into trust. And trust, when cultivated every morning, becomes your silent power. It is easy to forget your purpose when you jump into the day without grounding. It is easy to be influenced by negativity, drained by conversations, overwhelmed by responsibilities, or triggered by situations when you have not rooted yourself in the presence of God. Alignment protects you from becoming a mirror of the world's mood. Instead of absorbing the energy around you, you begin to radiate the energy within you. You carry peace into conflict, clarity into confusion, and strength into weakness. And the beautiful thing about starting your day with God is that you are reminded of your identity before the world tries to define you. The world may call you many names. It may label you by your past mistakes, your current struggle, your fears, or your limitations. But when you align with God, He calls you by your purpose, your destiny, your potential, and your spiritual authority. He reminds you that you are chosen, not forgotten, guided, not lost, strengthened, not abandoned, loved, not overlooked. And this reminder changes the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you respond, the way you think. Spiritual alignment becomes the invisible armor you carry, the shield that protects your mind from overthinking and your heart from unnecessary pain. It is the quiet confidence that whispers, "I am not walking alone today." When you take time in the morning to align yourself, you begin to notice how differently you treat yourself. You speak to yourself with more kindness. You move with more patience. You forgive yourself more easily because you understand that you are a work in progress guided by a perfect God. Morning alignment is also a moment of surrender, and surrender is not weakness. It is strength wrapped in humility. It is saying, "God, I don't know what today holds, but I know who holds me." It is releasing control and trusting divine timing. It is accepting that not everything will go according to your plan, but everything will unfold according to purpose. And when you root yourself spiritually, even the things that don't go your way stop breaking you. They start teaching you. They start shaping you. They start preparing you for something greater. Every morning you choose alignment. You choose growth. You choose wisdom. You choose transformation. You choose to rise above old patterns, old reactions, old fears. You choose to let God renew your mind, strengthen your heart, and order your steps. The person who walks outside without morning alignment is vulnerable, but the one who aligns with God becomes unshakable because their foundation is not built on emotions but on divine strength. Every morning becomes a new chance to reset your spirit, to let go of yesterday's weight, to step forward with a clear mind, to receive new mercies, fresh grace, and renewed hope. Because when you start your day in spiritual alignment, you do not just step outside, you step into purpose, you step into protection, you step into favor, you step into assignments that are waiting for your obedience, and you realize that your morning alignment is not just for you, it impacts everyone you meet. Your peace becomes a blessing. Your patience becomes healing. Your words become light. Your presence becomes comfort. Because when you are aligned, God flows through you, and the world experiences His goodness through your actions, your expressions, your responses. And the more you practice this morning alignment, the more sensitive you become to God's voice guiding you, redirecting you, warning you, nudging you, comforting you. You become aware of spiritual signals you once ignored. You begin to feel when something is not for you. You begin to sense when God is closing a door to protect you. You begin to hear when He is asking you to wait, to move, to speak, to stay silent, and this awareness becomes your greatest advantage. It becomes the inner compass that keeps you from drifting. It becomes the anchor that holds you steady in emotional storms. It becomes the strength that allows you to rise again after setbacks. Morning alignment is the difference between surviving the day and mastering it. It is the difference between being carried by the world and being carried by God. It is the difference between reacting out of fear and responding with wisdom. When you choose to root your day in spiritual alignment, you choose to live intentionally rather than accidentally. You choose to walk in dignity rather than desperation. You choose to embrace peace rather than pressure. And with each aligned morning, your spirit becomes stronger, your vision becomes clearer, your faith becomes deeper, your steps become more certain, and you begin to understand that alignment is not a moment, it is a lifestyle, a commitment to return to the source every morning, to reset, to reconnect, to realign, to remember who you are and whose you are before the world tries to tell you otherwise. And when you walk outside with that kind of grounding, that kind of clarity, that kind of spiritual rootedness, nothing and no one can pull you out of your purpose, your peace, your identity, your divine flow. You become someone who is not shaken by circumstances but guided through them, someone who is not defeated by challenges but strengthened by them, someone who is not overwhelmed by the world but illuminated by the presence that lives within them. And each morning you commit to this alignment, you grow deeper into your own becoming. You awaken to a higher version of yourself. You begin to move in ways you once thought impossible. You carry an inner stillness that cannot be disrupted by noise, negativity, or fear, because you have learned that spiritual alignment is not optional. It is essential. It is the foundation upon which strength is built, peace is maintained, and purpose is fulfilled. And so, every morning you rise, you return again to that sacred space, knowing that before you step outside, before you speak to anyone, before the day begins to unfold, you must first align your spirit so that everything that follows is guided, protected, directed, blessed, and rooted in the presence that gives you strength beyond your own. To declare God's protection and guidance over every step you take today is to acknowledge that you are walking into a world that is unpredictable, shifting, and filled with forces that your eyes cannot always see and your mind cannot always anticipate. It is an act of humility and strength to say, before you take your first step, that you want those steps to be covered by something greater than your own wisdom. There are pathways that look clear but carry hidden dangers, opportunities that look promising but lead to disappointment, people who appear kind but carry intentions that can drain your spirit. When you ask for God's protection at the start of your day, you are asking for more than safety. You are asking for discernment, for vision, for the kind of internal clarity that tells you when something is not for you, even when it looks good from the outside. Protection is not just about keeping harm away. It is about keeping your spirit unbroken, your purpose uninterrupted, your mind unscattered, your peace untouched. And when you rise in the morning and declare that protection, it becomes a shield around your decisions, your reactions, your connections, and your direction. Guidance, on the other hand, is the quiet assurance that you will not walk blindly into your day. It is the gentle voice within that redirects you when your emotions want to lead you into conflict, when impatience wants to rush you into mistakes, when pride wants to push you into battles that are beneath your purpose. To declare God's guidance is to choose humility, to admit that you do not know everything, that your understanding has limits, that your view is incomplete, and yet That admission does not weaken you. It strengthens you because it invites divine wisdom to fill the spaces where your knowledge ends. Every day you step into is a mixture of knowns and unknowns. You know what you plan, but you do not know what life has planned for you. You know what you hope for, but you do not know what you will face. You know what you expect, but the unexpected always waits to test your patience, your resilience, your faith. This is why morning prayer for protection and guidance matters. It frames your day with divine intention before the world can frame it with pressure. It establishes your safety before the world tests your boundaries. It places you under spiritual covering before circumstances try to challenge your peace. Some people walk outside with confidence rooted in their abilities, their connections, their plans, or their routines. But the one who walks outside covered by God carries a confidence that is not shaken when plans shift, when people disappoint, when obstacles rise unexpectedly. Because their steps are not guided by certainty, they are guided by trust. When you ask for God's protection, you are not just protecting your physical body. You are protecting your mind from the thoughts that try to break you before the day even begins. You are protecting your heart from energies that try to drain your compassion, your joy, your patience. You are protecting your spirit from the subtle negativity that tries to attach itself to you through conversations, environments, or even your own insecurities. Many people underestimate the weight of unseen battles. They assume that what drains them is the workload, the responsibilities, the people, the deadlines. But so often, what drains you is spiritual in nature, the heaviness that comes from being unprotected, unguided, spiritually open to anything and everything that crosses your path. Declaring God's protection is like closing the door to what does not belong, like covering your emotions with armor, like placing your thoughts under divine supervision. Guidance is equally vital. There are moments throughout the day when you will be tempted to choose the easier path, even though it leads to regret. When you will be tempted to respond in anger, even though silence would protect your peace. When you will be tempted to doubt yourself, even though God is trying to push you into growth. Declaring guidance is inviting God into those moments before they arrive. It is saying, "Lead me before I lead myself into trouble. Speak to me before my emotions speak louder than wisdom. Direct me before distraction pulls me away from purpose." It is a daily surrender that allows you to move with intention, with clarity, with a sense of knowing even when you cannot see everything ahead. There are steps you took in the past that you wish you could erase, decisions you made without guidance that led to pain, relationships you walked into without discernment that cost you time, energy, and pieces of yourself. When you declare guidance in the morning, you are choosing not to repeat those mistakes. You are choosing to walk differently now. You are choosing to listen rather than react. You are choosing to ask rather than assume. You are choosing to trust rather than fear. You are choosing to recognize that you were never meant to navigate life alone, that divine guidance is not a luxury, but a necessity. Protection and guidance are not separate, they work together. Protection keeps danger away, and guidance leads you away from danger. Protection shields you from what could harm you, and guidance directs you toward what will grow you. Protection is the fortress. Guidance is the compass. Protection covers the outside. Guidance covers the inside. Together, they shape your day into something intentional rather than accidental. When you declare them both each morning, you walk with a stability that cannot be shaken by unexpected news, by disappointing outcomes, by challenging people, or by moments of uncertainty. There is a spiritual confidence that rises within you when you know your steps are covered. It is not arrogance. It is not denial. It is not pretending everything will be perfect. It is the deep understanding that even if you face challenges, you will not face them alone. Even if you walk through storms, you will not walk through them unprotected. Even if you encounter delays, disappointments, or detours, none of them can remove you from the path God is guiding you through. You begin to move differently. You begin to speak differently. You begin to interact with the world differently. Your reactions become slower, calmer, wiser. Your decisions become clearer. Your heart becomes lighter. Your purpose becomes sharper. When you declare God's protection, you cover yourself not only from what is dangerous, but also from what is unnecessary. Not every conflict is meant for you. Not every invitation is meant to be accepted. Not every door is meant to be walked through. Protection closes doors you would have forced open in the past. It guards you from opportunities that are traps in disguise. It shields you from people who wear sincerity like a mask but carry deceit in their intentions. It limits access to your spirit so you do not become a dumping ground for emotional chaos. Protection is not only about keeping evil away, it is about preserving your peace, your energy, your focus. Guidance, meanwhile, refines your intuition. It teaches you to sense when something is not right, even when you cannot explain why. It gives you the courage to say no, even when your emotions want to say yes. It gives you the wisdom to wait, even when impatience urges you to move. It gives you the clarity to see beyond appearances, beyond empty promises, beyond temporary satisfaction. Guidance leads you toward people who align with your purpose, opportunities that honor your growth, and environments that nourish your spirit. It leads you away from negativity, confusion, and situations that would have drained you if you had walked into them blindly. When you begin your day by declaring protection and guidance, you cultivate a relationship with your own inner stillness. It becomes easier to recognize when you are being led by fear rather than faith, by insecurity rather than intuition, by impulse rather than wisdom. You begin to move with a conscious awareness of every step, understanding that every step holds purpose and every purpose requires protection. And because life will always bring unexpected moments, the kind that shake your routine, test your patience, and challenge your faith, beginning your day with divine covering prepares you to meet those moments with strength instead of panic, with peace instead of frustration, with clarity instead of confusion. You walk into situations that would have broken you in a past season, yet now they strengthen you because you walk into them covered. You face people who once intimidated you, yet now you stand firm because you are guided. You handle pressure that once overwhelmed you, yet now you rise above it because you are protected and directed by something beyond your own understanding. Declaring protection also reminds you that you are valuable. You protect what is valuable. You cover what is precious. You guard what is meaningful. When you ask God to protect you, you are acknowledging that your life is worth guarding. Your purpose is worth shielding. Your peace is worth defending. Too often, people forget their worth and allow the world to treat them as if they were ordinary. But morning protection reminds you that you are not ordinary. You are chosen, intentional, purposeful, and designed for something greater. And anything designed for greatness must be protected. Guidance reminds you that you are not lost, even when you cannot see the full path. It reminds you that you are not directionless, even when the destination feels far away. It reminds you that every step, even the small ones, even the slow ones, even the uncertain ones, are part of a bigger unfolding. Guidance creates patience within you. It teaches you to move when it is time and to wait when it is necessary. It teaches you to trust the silence as much as the signs. There will be days when you feel strong and days when you feel fragile. Days when you feel clear and days when you feel confused. Days when you feel motivated and days when you feel depleted. But when you begin each day by declaring God's protection and guidance, you create a spiritual foundation that holds you steady no matter what emotional season you are in. You stop fearing the unknown. You stop dreading the future. You stop regretting the past. You begin to walk in the present with a peace that does not come from circumstances, but from alignment. And that alignment begins the moment you ask God to cover you and lead you, the moment you declare that you are not walking into this day on your own strength or your own understanding. You walk as someone covered. You walk as someone guided. You walk as someone whose steps have been touched by divine intention before your feet even touch the floor, to invite strength, clarity, and wisdom into your morning through intentional prayer is to acknowledge that every new day brings demands that require more than physical energy or mental focus. It requires something deeper, something rooted in the soul, something that aligns your inner world before you face the outer one. Strength is not simply the force to lift burdens. It is the courage to face what scares you, the endurance to continue when you feel drained, the resilience to rise when life tries to press you down. Clarity is not just knowing what to do. It is the ability to see through confusion, to hear the truth beneath the noise, to recognize the difference between what pulls you off your path and what pushes you toward your purpose. And wisdom is not merely intelligence. It is the quiet knowing that guides you toward the right choices, the deeper understanding that allows you to walk away from what does not serve your spirit, the spiritual insight that protects you from repeating the same mistakes that once cost you peace. When you wake up and intentionally invite these three gifts into your morning, you are choosing to build your day upon a foundation that cannot be easily shaken. There are mornings when you rise already tired from yesterday's worries, carrying burdens that never belonged to you, holding on to words that wounded you, or replaying moments that still trouble your mind. In these moments, intentional prayer becomes a lifeline. It becomes the space where you release what you cannot control and receive what you deeply need. Strength comes to you not as loud confidence, but as quiet endurance. It settles in your bones, reminding you that you have survived storms that were meant to break you, and because you survived those, you can face what comes today. It reminds you that strength is not loud. It does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "Go again," when you want to give up. Sometimes it steadies your hands when you feel nervous, calms your breath when anxiety rises, lifts your spirit when discouragement tries to pull you down. Clarity enters differently. It does not shout, it illuminates. It shows you which thoughts to release and which truths to hold on to. Clarity reshapes your morning by clearing the fog that fear creates. It frees your mind from overthinking, from imagining problems that have not happened yet, from drowning in doubts that were never meant to control you. With clarity, you begin to see what is important and what is merely urgent. You stop wasting time on what drains you and begin investing in what builds you. You stop listening to every voice around you and begin tuning into the voice within, the one God placed there to guide you through the complexities of life. Clarity sharpens your vision so you do not walk into the day blind to your own potential. Wisdom, however, moves even deeper than clarity. Wisdom takes what you know and turns it into how you live. It teaches you to pause before responding, to reflect before deciding, to breathe before reacting. It helps you understand that not every situation needs your involvement. Not every battle deserves your energy. Not every comment requires your reply. Wisdom gives you the grace to let people be who they are without letting their actions disturb your peace. It reminds you that growth sometimes looks like silence, sometimes looks like patience, sometimes looks like walking away without explaining yourself. Wisdom strengthens the part of you that wants to mature, that wants to rise, that wants to break. Cycles that keep pulling you into the same emotional places. Morning prayer is the gateway through which these gifts flow. It is the space where you open yourself to receive what cannot be accessed through effort alone. And it is intentional prayer, not rushed words, not scattered thoughts that shapes your spirit before the world attempts to shape your mood. When you pray intentionally, you do not simply speak, you connect, you align. You ground yourself in the presence of something greater than your worries. You quiet the inner noise long enough to hear what your soul is trying to tell you. You allow God to remind you of who you are becoming, and who you no longer need to be. Strength comes more naturally when prayer has softened your heart and eased your fears. Clarity becomes easier when prayer has cleared your spiritual vision. Wisdom becomes accessible when prayer has humbled your mind enough to receive guidance without resistance. The morning becomes more than a routine. It becomes a sacred opening into a day shaped by intention rather than impulse. You begin to move differently, not because life has changed, but because you have changed the way you approach life. There are people who start their day in exhaustion, running from task to task, overwhelmed before the clock even reaches noon. And then there are those who pause, breathe, pray, align, and receive the strength they need, not from caffeine or adrenaline, but from divine renewal. Strength that does not fade quickly, clarity that does not disappear when pressure rises, wisdom that does not crumble when emotions surge. This is what morning prayer builds within you. When you invite strength into your morning, you begin to realize that strength is not something you search for, it is something you awaken. It has always been within you, buried under layers of fear, fatigue, or self-doubt. Prayer uncovers it. Prayer lifts it. Prayer awakens the version of you that remembers your victories, your resilience, your ability to rise no matter how many times life has pushed you down. And this strength becomes the quiet power that carries you through challenges that used to overwhelm you. Inviting clarity reshapes the way you face your day. You stop jumping into noise. You stop rushing into confusion. You stop allowing stress to become your default state. Clarity gives you the ability to see things for what they are, not for what your fears say they might be. It gives you focus. It gives you balance. It gives you direction. And once you begin walking with clarity, you stop being controlled by distractions that once stole your peace. Wisdom transforms your reactions. It turns impulsive decisions into thoughtful ones. It turns emotional responses into grounded choices. It protects your peace by teaching you that not everything deserves your attention and not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Wisdom makes you graceful under pressure and steady under uncertainty. It helps you move with purpose instead of panic. Morning prayer invites all three of these gifts into your spirit before the world has a chance to drain them out of you. It turns your morning into preparation, your preparation into purpose, and your purpose into strength that radiates throughout your day. You begin to understand that if you do not intentionally align yourself, the world will align you to its chaos. If you do not intentionally seek strength, the world will exhaust you. If you do not intentionally seek clarity, confusion will consume you. And if you do not intentionally seek wisdom, you will find yourself repeating the same emotional patterns that keep you stuck. Intentional prayer teaches you to slow down, to breathe deeply, to listen inwardly, to release outwardly. It teaches you that you are not behind, you are not failing, you are not forgotten. You are simply being prepared, and preparation requires strength to endure, clarity to understand, and wisdom to choose. This preparation begins every morning you choose to pray with intention. As you continue this practice, you will notice subtle shifts within yourself. You become more patient with the process, more gentle with yourself, more understanding of others. You begin to respond rather than react. You begin to pause rather than panic. You begin to trust rather than fear. Strength grows quietly beneath your skin. Clarity sharpens your internal vision. Wisdom deepens your understanding of life and your place within it. And this transformation does not happen all at once. It happens gradually, softly, steadily, like the sunrise. Intention by intention, prayer by prayer, morning by morning. Until one day you look back and realize you no longer handle situations the way you once did. You no longer feel lost the way you once felt. You no longer break under pressure the way you once broke. Because your mornings have become sacred. Your spirit has become rooted. Your heart has become steady. And your mind has become aligned with something greater than the challenges you face. Each morning you pray intentionally. You invite God to strengthen what is weak, illuminate what is unclear, and guide what is uncertain. You become someone who walks into the day with spiritual armor, emotional balance, and mental peace. You become someone who carries inner light even when the world feels heavy. You become someone who embodies resilience, understanding, patience, and grace. Morning prayer becomes the breath that fills your lungs with courage, the clarity that fills your mind with direction, and the wisdom that fills your heart with peace. And as you continue inviting these gifts into your morning, you begin stepping into your day not as someone bracing for survival, but as someone prepared for purpose. You stop dragging yesterday's weight into today's possibilities. You stop letting fear control your steps. You stop letting confusion cloud your decisions. You stop letting past mistakes define your future choices. Strength holds you, clarity guides you, wisdom shapes you, and prayer awakens all three within you before you face the world outside your door. To walk into the day with confidence, knowing God goes before you, is to embrace a truth so profound that it reshapes every step, every decision, and every thought. Confidence is often misunderstood as self-assurance, derived from achievements, skills, or approval, but true confidence is spiritual. It is rooted in the understanding that your steps are guided, your path is known, and your life is directed by a source far greater than your own understanding. When God goes before you, you do not walk blindly into situations. You walk with divine preparation. You do not stumble over obstacles. You are led around them or through them with a purpose. You do not face challenges alone. You face them with strength that comes from a power greater than your own. To begin the day with this knowledge is to equip yourself with the kind of confidence that cannot be shaken by circumstance, challenged by criticism, or weakened by uncertainty. Many people start their day burdened by doubt. They awaken carrying yesterday's fears, yesterday's failures, yesterday's rejections. They step outside believing they must face the world armed only with their own understanding, their own strength, their own courage, which can feel insufficient when the day's pressures arrive. But when you recognize that God goes before you, you release the illusion that you are alone. You understand that every doorway you approach has already been opened. Every obstacle you encounter has already been accounted for. Every interaction you face has already been overseen by divine wisdom. This knowledge shifts the way you move, the way you breathe, the way you interact with the world. Your steps are not hurried, they are purposeful. Your mind is not clouded, it is clear. Your heart is not anxious, it is anchored. And confidence, true confidence, flows from this alignment. Confidence rooted in God's guidance is not arrogance. It does not boast or demand recognition. It does not depend on external validation. It is quiet yet unwavering. It is calm yet firm. It is steady yet resilient. It understands that life will present unexpected challenges, but those challenges do not define the day. The divine direction does. When God goes before you, even the most confusing paths become illuminated. Even the heaviest burdens become lighter. Even the most complicated decisions become clearer. You begin to see that your confidence does not come from knowing everything or controlling everything. It comes from trusting the one who knows all, controls all, and guides all. Walking with this awareness transforms ordinary routines into sacred movements. The mundane tasks of daily life become opportunities to practice trust. The relationships you engage with become exercises in grace. The obstacles you face become stepping stones for growth. Morning alignment with this truth is essential because the world is ready to challenge you the moment you step outside. There will be distractions, negative voices, conflicting demands, and pressures that threaten to steal your peace. Without spiritual grounding, your confidence can easily be shaken. You may second-guess your choices, question your worth, or succumb to fear. But when God goes before you, you are equipped with a foundation that cannot be removed by circumstances. Your confidence becomes unshakable because it is no longer dependent on outcomes but on presence. You are confident because you are not walking alone. You are confident because your path has been prepared. You are confident because divine foresight precedes your steps. The act of starting your day with this mindset requires intention. It is a decision to remember before you engage with the world that you are covered, directed, and protected. It is a recognition that challenges will come, but you are prepared. It is a declaration that you will not allow fear to dictate your actions, that you will not let uncertainty determine your mood, that you will not let negativity steal your joy. Confidence rooted in God's guidance gives you courage to face people and situations that might have intimidated you in the past. It allows you to speak your truth with clarity, to act with integrity even when no one is watching, to hold your ground in a world that often celebrates compromise. This kind of confidence is empowering, transformative, and liberating. When you walk into your day with God going before you, you begin to notice a subtle shift in how you relate to life. You carry yourself differently, you approach conversations differently, you make decisions differently. There is a quiet strength in your voice, a calm in your demeanor, a patience in your responses that others recognize but cannot define. It is not pride. It is rooted in certainty, in faith, in alignment with accruement, purpose that transcends personal ambition. You are no longer reactive. You are proactive. You are no longer defensive. You are discerning. You are no longer anxious. You are assured. This confidence is not dependent on what you see. It is grounded in what you know spiritually. And knowing that God goes before you allows you to navigate challenges that once would have overwhelmed you. Challenges will arise. They are inevitable. Life is filled with trials designed to test your faith, your patience, your resilience, and your character. But when you begin your day with the awareness that God is ahead of you, these challenges no longer have the power to paralyze you. They become opportunities to exercise faith. They become occasions to practice patience. They become moments to witness the faithfulness of God in real time. And because your confidence is spiritual, not purely human, it does not waver under pressure. It does not falter when the outcome is uncertain. It remains steadfast because it is anchored in something eternal rather than temporary. Confidence in this sense also transforms your perspective on failure. You understand that failure is not a reflection of inadequacy, but a step in a divine process. It is not a dead end, but a detour, not a loss, but a lesson, not rejection, but redirection. And this awareness allows you to approach each day with courage rather than hesitation, initiative rather than fear, and hope rather than doubt. You become someone who moves through life with faith guiding your steps, assurance filling your heart, and confidence empowering your action. Morning prayer, reflection, and intentional alignment with this truth create a rhythm in your life that sustains you through the ups and downs. You awaken knowing that your steps are not accidental. You walk into encounters knowing that your interactions are divinely overseen. You face uncertainties knowing that you are not navigating them alone. You make decisions knowing that guidance has already preceded your choices. And this daily practice builds a type of confidence that is rare, profound, and life-transforming. It is the kind of confidence that does not need constant affirmation from the outside. It is quiet, unwavering, and deeply rooted in trust. As you continue to walk with the knowledge that God goes before you, you begin to see how much your life shifts. You become more patient with delays, more gracious with mistakes, more compassionate with others, and more courageous with yourself. The pressures of the world no longer dictate your mood or your decisions. The opinions of others no longer sway your inner certainty. The unpredictability of life no longer threatens your peace. You move forward knowing that your path has been prepared, your steps have been ordered, and your journey is guided. Confidence becomes a natural expression of faith rather than an attempt to prove worth. Your energy shifts from defending yourself to fulfilling your purpose, from reacting to controlling your response, from fearing the future to walking boldly into it. And when you consistently practice this, you also begin to influence the world around you. People sense the quiet assurance in your presence. They recognize the stability in your demeanor. They are drawn to the peace and clarity that radiates from someone walking confidently under divine guidance. Your confidence becomes a blessing to others, a light in a world often overshadowed by fear, doubt, and insecurity. You inspire without trying, lead without demanding, and influence without coercion. This is the power of walking into the day with the knowledge that God goes before you. You learn to navigate challenges with grace, to handle criticism with composure, to respond to conflict with wisdom, and to approach opportunities with discernment. Your confidence is not fragile, it is fortified. It does not depend on external circumstances, but on internal assurance. It is resilient, enduring, and unshakable. You become aware that while the world is uncertain, your spiritual foundation is firm. You realize that obstacles will always exist, but fear of them does not need to. You understand that while mistakes may occur, your purpose is protected. You recognize that while life will test you, your faith and alignment with divine guidance will hold you steady. Walking with God before you gives you clarity about priorities, courage to face adversity, and confidence to pursue your calling.